Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. Thanks, y'all, to everybody that has been rocking with us tonight. Y'all rock with us. We roll with y'all as we move through the night. We went through the Super Bowl recap with Big Mike and the coach and our brother B and Big Bro Joe and yours truly. But we're going to move on and talk about some other stuff. It's Black History Month. I'll have a word about Black History Month later on in the show when I do the history portion of the show that we do every single week. I'll talk a little bit more about Black History Month then. But we know February is the month that we have Black History Month, and we commemorate the things that we've done as Black people, as African Americans, a phrase I don't care much for, but you know, we acknowledge the great things that we've done in this country throughout the history here. And a lot of people have a lot of nice things that they say, and a lot of people are teaching their children. And of course, you would expect there to be comments from leadership as well as events that are led by leadership. And, you know, it's Black History Month. So I want to talk about the Vice President of the United States. He tried to do a great thing by tweeting out his commemoration of Black History Month. And he said, quote, "As hashtag Black History Month begins, we remember when President Lincoln submitted the 13th Amendment ending slavery to the state's National Freedom Day." That was the tweet from the Vice President of the United States. So I'm looking around the room and I see some reactions to the tweet. I'm gonna read it one more time. As Black History Month begins, we remember when President Lincoln submitted the 13th Amendment ending slavery to the state's National Freedom Day. I'm not sure what those faces are. Guys, what's wrong with that tweet? You guys have a problem with the tweet? Mike, you got a problem, Joe?
Damn right I got a problem with it.
You got a problem with the tweet, Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to acknowledge Black History Month.
You know what?
He tried to acknowledge Black History Month.
When the first person you call name is a white man who truly doesn't give a damn about slaves to begin with, the only thing he was worried about was economics, and the vice president doesn't know, or better yet, doesn't care about the feelings that we have.
Right.
To hell with Mike Pence. Right. And his tweet.
Right. Here's my thing. Obama said it so gracefully when he said, you know, I don't know if they remember, but there was this thing called Jim Crow that happened way after Abraham Lincoln made that. And let's be completely clear on this. We just became desegregated in 1968, which is literally 59 years away from now. That makes no sense. And you're the second in command, and you don't even know that we just became desegregated in 1968, meaning that we weren't able to start going to banks until 1968, which means we wasn't able to acquire property until 1968, which means we wasn't even able to have a job in the Air Force or the military with a good title until like after 1968. What are you talking about, man? And that makes me so mad, because it's like you tried to give us a bone, and it was almost like the bone that you gave us was the bone in your middle finger. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I just, it hurts my feelings, because it's like, y'all put these people in office. Or actually, I take it back. We didn't put them in office. The Electoral College put them in office. And, you know, I want to see how many people hold people accountable that were supposed to be voting on their behalf, and see if they're going to elect these people next time or come to any of these meetings and hold them accountable for not voting in the direction of the masses, because it's their fault. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, I got a sneaky suspicion you're going to be jumping back on it, because I know I live on top of one of them. It's all good. It ain't because I'm short. Yeah. Coach, what you got, man?
Like my boy Hermel would say, don't press in. And like I said, I think it's like it's just a slap in our face. I think, and that's one thing with them, they know what they're doing. They're doing that to get a rise. To me, it's almost like it's almost disrespectful, almost like the whole Hamilton situation when they went to. You think to yourself, why is he going to a Broadway play of that magnitude? He's doing that to start something. They know what they're doing. This is calculated.
All right, Big Mike, the vice president of the United States, shouted out Abraham Lincoln in his commemoration of Black History Month. You got a problem with that?
I don't expect anything less. Like, I feel like Coach said, everything is done with an intent behind it. You know, it's a slight, and if it was a slight strictly because of ignorance, it still would be wrong, but it's not strictly out of ignorance. It's because I'm intentionally not going to give credit to anybody, and for all my constituents, the people who like me, it's just enough to keep them off my back. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it.
You're going to have some folks that are going to play devil's advocate with that opinion and say, what's the problem, black people who have a problem with this? Abraham Lincoln did free the slaves. And that is something that is part of Black History Month. Why you tripping? You have some folks that's going to say that. I know because I've been talking to them. So that's how I know. So, Joe, your thoughts?
And you know what? If he really didn't even free the slaves, because and think about it like in this, when Juneteenth, slaves didn't even realize that they were free.
And people forget that Juneteenth was not the same year. It was like a year or two later.
2 years. It was 2 years later.
Yeah.
The farther south you went, they didn't even realize that they were free. Now the white folk knew that they were free, but they ain't tell nobody.
Of course not.
Because they ain't want you to know. I mean, it's a bad day all the time. I mean, and I'm going to bring this one up too for just 1 second, because what I just look at the and you made that point, Big Mike, that calculatory way that things are done, because 3 weeks earlier when they were talking about the Jews in the Holocaust, and
exactly.
the president didn't even acknowledge the Jews who were in the Holocaust. Now, let's not get this twisted. I don't believe that the Holocaust was any less or any more, was it any more? Any more.
Or less.
Or less bad than slavery for us. But just to put it into perspective, because for some of our listeners who might not understand that slavery was something that went on for 400 plus years and still going on, and you just might want to, because they're a lighter color than we are, you want to use the Jews and say, hey, guess what? He didn't even acknowledge the fact that the Holocaust would hurt the Jews. So to me, like I said, like they're going on a supremacist, for me, and this is my mindset, what I see, they're going on a more a supremacist type feel to me.
I got you. And I have stated my opinions of white supremacy in the past, and a lot of people, particularly white people, get a little annoyed when they hear me say it. I'm not going to stop saying it. I'm going to say it every opportunity that I have. White supremacy is not always with regards to the existence of it, is not discussed in an angry, hateful way when it's coming from black folk. Oftentimes, it's explained in an explanatory way, because the essence, in many cases, of white supremacy and white privilege is you don't even realize that you caught up in it and that you're benefiting from it. And it takes someone like me, or let me rephrase, it takes somebody like Tim Wise with his white skin who can actually give it to you plain, because we know that a lot of folks think that white folks' ice is colder than ours. You know what I mean? They think that their whites and blights, their lights are brighter than ours. You know what I'm saying? And so I could say the exact same words. I could read from a transcript, the same transcript that Tim Wise would read from, and go to the same venues, in the same demographics, different people, the same demographics in the same venues, and he would get a bigger pop, to use a wrestling phrase, than I would. Why? Because that's okay. You know what I mean? That's white supremacy. That's white privilege. So when someone's explaining it to you, it doesn't mean that someone that benefits from white privilege is walking around saying, I can't stand N-words and I think they all should swing. No. Nobody thinks that that's what you think. Nobody thinks that that's what you think. But when you in your car at night, knowing you ain't do nothing wrong, and you see them blue lights behind you, you nervous as a black man. Especially when you feel and sense that car's coming real fast until he goes into the left lane around you. And then you feel your heart rate begin to slow down because you know it wasn't you. But if you care, you wondering, is that another brother?
Right.
I don't know that our white brothers and sisters go through that. And that's just one example. That's just one example. And so when I see a white man on the dawn of Black History Month, not only give a shout out to another white man, but give a shout out to the white man that's known as the great emancipator, there is not anything that's more colossally condescending than that right there.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The colossal gall that this man has to shout out not only another white man, but the white man that freed slaves. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And we supposed to accept that like that's all right.
That's crucial. But you know what? Think about it. He didn't do that on his. we you know what? We give Mike Pence a whole lot of credit for thinking that he actually came up with that on his own as well.
Yeah. No.
Let's break that down. He has a team of white supremacist people with him.
He got Breitbart with him.
And and to go back, it's 2017. There's no excuse for that type of ignorance in a sense. Like you said, he has a team. There's plenty of people that you can look for on the dawn of Black History Month and to celebrate an actual authentic Black person who have done something for the community. If your intent was that, but that wasn't his intent.
Exactly.
That's where the problem lies.
To me, that was just that iconic slap in the face.
Right.
There you go.
But then you also had the President of the United States shouted out Frederick Douglass, and when you listen to it, when you listen to what he said, it sounded like he was speaking of the man in the present tense.
Like he's still alive.
But again, we make these points and we come off like we whining and crying. But if Tim Wise would say this, be like, oh, okay, you might pause. You may not agree. And if you someone who is a racist white person, you might actually hate Tim Wise because he would
Tim Wise got hate going.
Because I know he does.
Yeah.
But they had a word for those people, those white people who love Black people, and we know what that phrase is. We don't use that word on the show.
Let me ask you a question. Y'all know where the vice president, like where he represented, right, was Indiana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people don't even know this, but the Ku Klux Klan was founded in Indiana. Somebody from Indiana had to tell me that the Ku Klux Klan was founded in Indiana. So when you think about the roots, or you can think about the family ties, or you can think about the influence, because he's an older gentleman, there's no way you're telling me that he did not know who these people were.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it goes back to why he used Abraham Lincoln versus the thousands of Black people in Black History Month that he could have mentioned. Like,
well, there's nobody in his administration that he could have pointed to give him some sort of feedback, because it's bland as it can be.
Yeah.
And he don't need a cabinet. All he needs is a phone.
Should have Googled it.
He can Google it. Just like they tweet, instead of going to Twitter, go to Google.
Right. But here's the other thing that I always say, that white people are the default in this country. They are. And again, people get annoyed with me when I say these things, but dispute me, and then we can talk about it. 804-402-2893. I'm in the same place every week. So, I know I have folks that listen that don't call. That's cool, because less than 1% of people who listen to talk radio actually call. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I know you're there. Thank you. Appreciate your love and support. But here's the deal. White folks simply are the default. They are. And so we have to know and acknowledge that, and so do they. Now, the next thing is, we have to know and acknowledge that as the default, it's difficult sometimes, unless you care, to see beyond what's right in front of you. You have to go look for stuff. For example, if you're a white person and all you see is white judges, you think it's normal to be a judge. Right. If you're a Black person and all you see is white judges, you think it's normal for judges to be white. Right. Police officers, teachers, 44 out of 45 presidents, governors, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. When you look at law enforcement and you know that white people are a little over 60% of the population, white males are a little over 30% of the population of America, but then you look at who they are with regards to their ranks in law enforcement. I don't have the numbers, but they're not hard to find. And trust me, they're high. If we're talking about an equal representation of the actual people in the country, then you would think If they 60% of the population, then they should be 60% of the judges. They should be 60% of everything. And we should be 12 to 14% of whatever it is we are.
But it's not like that.
But it's not like that. So when we talking about default and we talking about supremacy and we talking about privilege, that's what it is. It's the fact that Tamir Rice wasn't given the benefit of the doubt as a 12-year-old who had a gun in an open carry state. Right. It's because Eric Garner got choked out and the only person who went to jail was the dude who filmed it.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's the fact that Trayvon Martin got shot by a dude who is universally known as an asshole by people who knew him before and people who know him after. But we asked if Trayvon Martin was a martial artist who smoked weed. We didn't care that a boy was dead.
In his own neighborhood.
In his own neighborhood.
Right.
Unarmed.
Unarmed. And so when we're talking about the vice president of the United States of America, the second most powerful person in the world, acknowledging Black History Month by shouting out the great emancipator. Black people, buy land. Just buy land, because I'm gonna tell you something. If you're really, really walking around thinking, certainly in the next 4 years, that there's going to be equality, you know what I mean? Like I just personally, I don't see it. I mean, you know, Coach, you see it different. I mean, you're agreeing with me. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing shows you that there's going to be no equality from the jump. I mean, we got people that we've known, you know, like Maya Angelou said. When people tell you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
This administration has been told you for years how they feel and their sentiments about us.
Well, can I play devil's advocate for a minute?
Let me get this comment in, then you play devil's advocate. Our brother said, "What up, bro?" Said that the Klan was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee. I guess we can, we got two different things going right now. So, and we know said is from Tennessee, so I'm guessing he would know. But we'll look that up and we'll figure out which one of you guys is right. Big bro.
You know, and we already know that, like you made the statement that what Maya Angelou said, Coach. You know, if they show you if they tell you who they are, believe them. Mm-hmm. But you also have to look at the apathy that we as Black people have in doing things that we should do to make sure that this doesn't continue to happen. Right. You know, for the President Trump and Vice President Pence to be in the positions that they are, okay, I got it. That's what it is. But you know, we've been in worse positions before, and how much have we done over these many years to try to make it better for us instead of pulling each other down? We're not. Instead of pulling each other down, we should be striving to always build each other up.
No, I 100% agree with you. As I was standing on a soapbox, Mike, I made the point of talking about white folk, but oftentimes we don't do the same when we're talking so strongly about our own people and about how when we know what the media's goal, because it's a goal, it's clear. It's a vice. It's clear. It's a goal to denigrate Black victims while at the same time making white offenders sympathetic. Like, we know this. Like, we don't have to sit here and debate that. You know, if somebody wants to debate, we can talk about it. 804-402-2893.
Come on, how they gonna debate it? Dylan Roof.
But
that's all I'm gonna say. Keep it moving.
I mean, but I talk to these people on social media. A lot of them send me hate mail to my inbox. So I talk to them. I know that this is how many people feel. Mike, what do you think about what our duty is as Black people to tell Black people what it is we need to be doing, as opposed to always complaining about how white folk ain't doing their part?
Well, we definitely have a duty. I mean, but I wanted to say this. I think that mainstream America, which I guess is default white culture, they're apathetic to police brutality in general. It doesn't matter who it's against, right? They default to the police were right because they happen to be a police officer, as opposed to, you know, them being a human and being fallible. You know, they could have made a mistake. They might have had a bad day. They have people who have issues on the force, you know, the stress, whatever the case may be. But yet they try to give them a pass whenever this situation happens. Because I've seen several people. There was a young man, white guy in California, unarmed, got shot by the police, and everybody wanted to know why black people weren't up in arms. Well, there were quite a few of them who were up in arms, but white America just changed the channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but as far as what black people need to do, I feel like, you know, we can't feed the system. We can't feed the beast. You know, every time there is something negative that's done, it just reinforces a stereotype. And the stereotype is what generates this time after time, generation after generation, despite everybody coming up. I mean, people have moved far forward from where we were, you know, in 68, in the sense of the ability to communicate. We can talk to anybody anywhere in the world. We just lost the solidarity because I feel like they knew enough to throw us just a little bit of a bone, and then everybody gets to fighting over it.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody feels as if, you know, it's like a pack mentality.
Yep.
You know, the strongest are going to survive, but you only got this much to eat off of. So if you can't get on it, you know, you get run over.
Shout out to my sister Taya out in Vegas, who is checking us out tonight. Taya, thank you. Taya is a longtime listener and supporter of Legacy Internet Radio and our multiple programming throughout the years that we've been on the air. Much love to you, sis. Appreciate you. There's an article out right now, B, on it basically is an FBI report that finds that white supremacists have infiltrated law enforcement agencies. Basically, the FBI has come out and said that this is happening. Official FBI guidelines acknowledge that white supremacists and right-wing extremists have infiltrated law enforcement agencies, according to a classified 2015 counterterrorism policy obtained by The Intercept. I'm getting this from MSN.com. Quote, domestic terrorism investigations focused on militia extremists, white supremacist extremists, and sovereign city extremists often have identified active links to law enforcement officers. The guide, which explains how individuals qualify for inclusion on a terrorist watch list. While the FBI has been aware of this infiltration for some time and raised concerns as early as a 2006 internal assessment, federal agencies have been wary of discussing the issue publicly. Former Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano even disavowed a 2009 intelligence study warning of the, quote, resurgence, end quote, of far right-wing extremists sparked by President Barack Obama's election.
Wow.
Yeah.
Federal law enforcement agencies in general, the FBI, the Marshals, the ATF, are aware that extremists have infiltrated state and local law enforcement agencies, and that there are people in law enforcement agencies that may be sympathetic to these groups. This is what Daryl Johnson, the lead researcher of the 2009 report that was pushed out of the agency. This is what he told The Intercept, and he was deeply disappointed by the decision to shrink the unit investigating right-wing extremists. Got a lot to respond to there, B, but it's kind of par for the course when all of these things, in my opinion, are connected. When you have the Vice President of the United States who goes on and acknowledges Black History Month by acknowledging a white man, and then we talking about the FBI saying that white supremacy is infiltrating law enforcement. How do we live in a country after 250 years, well, 150 years, I should say, of so-called freedom for everybody? Why are we still dealing with this? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm going to put it on you. I know you can handle it. What's your thoughts?
First off, shout out to Sid. You're absolutely right. Ku Klux Klan was founded in Tennessee, so we want to get the facts straight. Thank you, Sid. Second off, have y'all ever went to the gun show before?
I went a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Now let me ask y'all a question. What's ironic about that place is that I'm not saying I know who these people are or anything like this, but have you ever seen a black gun distributor that distribute like guns, 50 calibers, anything bigger than an assault rifle? Like, honestly,
nope.
Even ammo. So
I didn't.
I'm just saying, but think about that for a second. And they say they infiltrate law enforcement. They got all the guns. They get the military surplus. It's like, it doesn't surprise me because when you go get your guns, you see these things in your face. They're letting you know, yeah, I'll let you get a Glock, I'll let you get a carbine, I'll let you get this, I'll let you get that. But I have a warehouse full of guns, and I am a militia. I am supplying guns. I do have ammo. So it's like the FBI, they're saying something that, isn't surprising at all, that they infiltrate law enforcement, because if they didn't infiltrate law enforcement, how are they getting all these guns? You know, when they leave the military. Here's another question. When people leave the military, what type of jobs do they normally get? Security and what? Law enforcement, right? So, you know, I'm just thinking of a number side, like, you know, and I don't even want to make it white and black right now. This is just, you know, we're playing numbers. You know, when a black person leaves the military or anything like that, they may or may not go to they may or not go to law enforcement. They might take a civilian job. They might take, there's a whole lot of options out there, because not all the times they're going to get hired by the state troopers, because they have to pass an aptitude test. They got to go through the camp and go through all this stuff. So I'm painting this whole picture because I just want people to understand like how deep it really is, as far as like them infiltrating the law enforcement is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, let's talk about how these guns are being distributed. Like, who holds these guns? You know, if there was ever a situation going on that the militia needed weapons, who's supplying these guns? You know, like, I'm not saying black people didn't have militia, because if so, we'd be hunted down. They call it a Black Panther type movement or something like that, and they would hunt us down like animals. But yet you got these people in the woods practicing with militaries, swinging through vines, wearing the fatigues, going to the gun shows, providing all the AKs and sawed-offs and whatever else they sell. And it's just like, you know, nothing's being done about it. And that's the thing that alarms me more than anything. Is like, you know, I try to stay neutral on stuff like this and try not to talk a lot about that. But all you gotta do is go to the gun show and see how uneven it is and how lopsided this thing really is. Like, you know, here's another question, and I know I'm getting long. He gave me a loaded question, so I'm gonna give you a loaded answer. Who makes steel? You know, name one African or black person that makes steel and make guns, gun manufacturer, ammo manufacturer, gunpowder manufacturer, copper manufacturer for the casings. Hell, do we even make targets for the guns that they shoot at?
No.
I'm just saying, we don't even have paper.
We pose for the pictures.
Yeah, the only thing we're good at is being the targets, you know, on the jump.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's just like, I just, that's what I want people to understand, is like, power ain't money, you know what I'm saying? Power is resources.
Well, it's funny that you even took it there, B, because the Huffington Post is reporting that the GOP is looking to roll back a President Obama era rule that was designed to keep mentally ill people from even buying guns. You've got the congressional Republicans. They want to undo it. They voted on Thursday, mostly along partisan lines, to stop the Social Security Administration from telling the FBI about disability insurance recipients who have mental impairments that should disqualify them from buying guns. I know we're all over the place, but I'm glad you brought that up, because this was on the docket to get to it. Just a little history. The Obama administration pushed the measure as part of a broader gun control effort following the 2012 massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary. Remember, that was the right-wing kid that went in there, shot up the school, killed the babies, killed himself. Right wing, not Muslim terrorist extremists. Hint, hint.
Right.
The Social Security Administration finalized the rule in December. Republicans in the NRA blasted the initiative as unconstitutional, gun grabbing. Quote, "We need to protect the rights of Americans, including individuals with disabilities," end quote. BB, I know that you're a gun rights advocate. We've had this conversation for the many years that I've known you.
Yep.
When we became brothers, I was not one. I've since become one. When we did our live show a couple of months ago, we did a whole segment on gun rights, gun advocates, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you're here to talk about this, and I want to get everybody's opinion if you choose to. B, I know you're going to have some opinions about this as well. So Joe, you up first. Do you think that the initiative that the President Barack Obama put into place to keep mentally disturbed people from getting guns was a good thing? And do you think that it's right for the current administration to try to roll it back?
I most definitely think that it was a good idea to police the weapons that go out. I'm like you said, I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA.
And so am I.
A card-carrying member, and that's strange for black folks to say.
Hey, I can pull mine out.
I got mine too.
For yours, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So with that being said, everybody should have a right to carry a weapon, but you also have to make sure that those rights, everyone else's rights, are protected Because if you have clearly shown a mental incapacity to be able to take care of yourself, a mental incapacity to be able to do the minor things, if you can't remember to get up and put on, to eat in the morning, why would you need a gun?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my, and you know, mental health for me is a big, big thing right at this present time.
I know.
And you know, I'm pushing right now, working with some folks to get people to understand that mental health is a disease. If you have some type of disease, sometimes you wouldn't want to go, and just because everybody can drink alcohol at the age of 21,
Doesn't mean
you
it
don't
needs
want
to
to
be.
go sit there and put a fifth of Jim Beam in somebody's hand that they're an alcoholic for them to get behind the wheel and go kill somebody.
Right.
You have to be smart about what you're doing.
Right.
But what I see this administration doing is picking and choosing and being able to lay blame on mental health.
Right.
So when somebody does something, you can blame it on something else and get it away from it being a black and white issue.
Right. No, I got you. Big Mike, jump in here. What's your thoughts, man?
You know, I'm almost a gun nut. You know, I love shooting. It's kind of my hobby. But I believe in being responsible. You know, if I'm responsible in my own house with my weapons, I expect everybody else to be that way when I'm not in my house. I keep my weapon on me. In the event something tragic happens, right? But I don't want you having an issue. You know, I don't want you to have an issue. You know, you have some sort of PTSD episode in the middle of Walmart. You know what I mean? My family's with me, and you know, you and your old lady happen to get into a tussle, and you feel like this is it. You know what I mean? Like
Anything can happen.
I know some friends in law enforcement, man. That abuse doesn't know a age, a race, none of that stuff. It's wide open, and a lot of that stuff is based on mental health issues.
B, what's your thoughts?
Right. I definitely agree. You have to have some type of evaluation on your mental health because I don't want any nuts walking around with a gun. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm crazy sometimes, you know, but I know the difference between, you know, if I'm upset, I just need to chill out versus I'm upset, I got a gun on me, let me go and make somebody's life miserable and torment a whole, you know, community. And, you know, those things have to be safe checked. So the fact that this current administration is going to roll that back, what are they trying to prove except for they're just so anti-Obama anything that no matter how much sense it makes, I'm just going to roll it back because I don't like the legacy. Let me tell you something else that's funny. You know, and I'm not, I got to be careful how I say this, but, you know, one of the best things, or not the best things, one of the most sinister things that evil people do is they erase the history of something and then rewrite it like it never existed so that you never know it existed 10, 20 years away. Yep. What's the best way to erase a legacy then? To take away anything that made any sense. Then take it away, then bring it back and say you did it. Yep. You know, take the libraries of Kush, read everything in there, and a person named Plato come out and says that he knew a calendar, yet he's did it in one lifespan when it takes many lifespans to see the circulation of the universe or the stars, anything like that. So how can you get credit for something that takes hundreds of years to even prove that it's actually right? Yeah. But that's the history, or that's the wickedness of how people rewrite history. So it's nothing different with Obama. You know, they filibustered everything that he did in Congress and, you know, said no, and had to make him veto darn near everything. Then you got this dude Trump up in here, and they say no, and he fires everybody. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. You know, if you don't like it, you can get on out of here. We don't need you in here. And it's like, you're telling people, if you don't like it, hit the road like it's a dictatorship. But Obama was a president that was like being intentionally undermined, and yet he had to be high and take the high road. But now you got a president that's acting like it's a bad episode of Celebrity Apprentice, who's firing, you know, everybody, and then bringing his own people in as yes people. So it's like, what are we about to embark on? Like, really, like in the next 4 years, I don't even want to say 8 years, in the next 4 years, this dude getting this party started, it's January. It just finished being January. Yeah. And this dude ain't wasting no time to start rolling stuff back. So all I'm saying is, to answer your question again, I'm sorry, I got off of the thing. I don't like the fact that they're rolling back, you know, the mental health thing, because mental health is, like Joe said, a real epidemic. It's a real disease. I know firsthand because I'm disabled. I work with disabled people as a profession now, and it's a scary stat that says that 1 out of 5 people are disabled. Doesn't say what type of disability they got, but if one of those 5 is mentally disabled, that's 1 out of 5 people. That's 20% of America's population has some type of disability or would be disabled right now, currently speaking. That's the biggest minority in America right now. And you're about to say, hey, take these guns and do with them what you want. But we're gonna hold anybody from a terrorist country and pull them in the airport though. But we're gonna give guns to people here that aren't affiliated with any type of terrorist, but we're gonna let y'all go out here and act like Rambo. If you like Black Ops, go ahead and play Black Ops with real guns with real people.
Yeah.
What you think, Coach?
I agree with pretty much everybody. Of course, I'm not a gun owner, but gun owner, pardon me. But I can almost kind of surmise it almost like driving. It comes with a great responsibility. And, you know, everybody, like you said, everybody shouldn't carry a gun in certain regard. And the same thing go with people with driving. You know, it comes with great responsibility. So, you know, I definitely, you know.
You read my mind, because that's the exact analogy that I was going to make with regards to the driving. You go through, like me, I mentioned earlier, I'm new to the pro-gun world. I remember the process of getting my driver's license back in 1991 when I first got my driver's license, and I had to take all of these tests, and I'd written, and I had to take the driving test. I failed the driving test. I had to wait a month. I had to go back and take it again, and all of that kind of stuff. But when I got my concealed weapon, permit, all I had to do was pull up the computer and answer a bunch of questions. Go down to the to the county court, sign a paper, basically says, are you crazy? And I said, no, I'm not crazy. And in 45 days, I had it. And that's all I had to do. And that's a problem for me. That's a problem, as we all mentioned, because, with all due respect, and I'm going to say this kind of in a cold-blooded way to just make the point, some folks crazy.
Yeah.
Some folks are clinically crazy. They nice people. You see them every day. You work with them. You see them at the mall, and they having a good day. But when they have their bad days and they got access to weapons, they can wreck shit. And that's a problem. These are people who we act like don't exist when we, like B said, we got babies and children from other countries who we just bomb, which is the reason why we got babies and children from other countries trying to come here, fleeing where they at. But we know that Dylan Roof was all up on the internet telling folk that he was finna do this. You know what I'm saying? Right. We know that the dude shot up the movie theater for Batman. He was telling people that he was finna do this. You know what I mean? And they blowing up abortion clinics and schools and churches. And, I didn't hear none of the American leadership say anything about the crazy white boy that shot up the mosque in Canada. Nope. You know what I'm saying? We can talk all about the once in a blue moon somebody that's Muslim does something in this country that's bad, but the reality is it's them crazy all right people that's the real terrorists. Right. And there's some mental illness going on with that. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And they have access not only to weapons but high power weapons. Yeah. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Watch this. Think about it. You just made that point. You just made the point. How many times have we seen, and I'm going to do this, and I know I'm going to catch a little flack from our law enforcement community. Got a lot of brothers who are blue, trust me, and they're good folks. White, black, speckled, pink, or green, man and woman. But
you know somebody that's speckled pink?
Yeah, I do. I do. I know a few of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never met one of them.
I'm going to take you, we'll talk about it all day.
Oh, okay, all right. Cool.
But
I was slow.
If you sit there and I always use this analogy with you, LB, about most people who can't get into the regular police academies, they circumvent the police academies, or they can't get into the military. So what do you do if you can't get into the regular army? If you can't go stand up in front of the regular army?
Go be a cop.
You go be a cop. Okay, because you get power.
Right.
But if you can't even pass the test to be a cop, what do? You go become, in layman's terms, a dog catcher.
Dang.
Now, the reason that I say that is because Westerfield County has it set up where, yeah, it was slick, where you can not pass the test to be a law enforcement person for whatever reason, but you can come back around and be a utility person, or you can come back and become a animal protection animal protection, whatever they call them, specialists or whatever out there. And then you can reapply for the police department, but you got time now because you've had to carry a weapon as a dog catcher. And now you can come back and go in there, but you really didn't get everything that you needed to do.
I get it.
You circumvented the system, and now you in there.
Wow.
People don't look at those things.
No.
That's a loophole, right?
Not
there.
It's a loophole
It's-
that needs to be closed. Now, we're sitting here, and like I said, people with PTSD. I'm a former military person. Now, do I have the right to carry my weapon? Yeah. Hey, do you think that I'm crazy? That's debatable. The government says that I'm all right. The little card I got in my pocket where I can go to McGuire, they said that I ain't, I'm certified. Seeing some things that no man should see. But I carry my weapon. I'm good at my weapon. I passed all the tests. Do you know the stringency of the test that I had to take in order to be able to get my concealed weapons permit? And this was before now. It was a lot harder back then when I had to do it.
Well, that's the point. They're doing everything they can to make it easier and easier and easier, and more people can actually get it. I know we were going to talk about the president. I'm gonna cut this short real quick. I just want to throw this out here real quick. NRA, people ask me, why you got NRA? Ain't that for crazy white people who don't like black people? No, that's not what NRA is all about. Look it up. That's not why it's all about. However, there is a very strong lobby of people who believe that. And I also believe that with all of the issues that we have with law enforcement, good black folk need to go and get their weapons.
Yes.
Because the more good black folk that have weapons and start filling up the ranks of the NRA, then you become a lobby. So that's actually why I joined.
Exactly.
Having said that, the last thing I want to get to, and I just want real quick, brief comments on this one. Donald Trump, our president, yesterday had a interview that he did with Bill O'Reilly of Fox News. I'm getting this from Bloomberg. He said he respects Vladimir Putin. First of all, let me just say this. I think it's whack as hell for this dude to always be talking about how much he respects Vladimir Putin when he was shitting on Barack Obama. I'm going to tell you something. And this is some hood shit right here, real quick. If me and Big Mike are brothers and we beefing and we go to Big Bro Joe's hood and we see him, I better not be celebrating Big Bro Joe. It don't matter that me and Big Mike is beefing because me and Big Mike is brothers.
We in the same hood.
We in the same hood. We go to somebody else's hood, we stick together while we in somebody else's hood.
Right.
Yeah, no question.
So how you going to be, I know partisan politics say that you don't rock with Barack Obama. Trust me, I get it. But you over here talking about this dude is dope and this dude who is your brother is weak?
Right.
That's whack to me.
That's super whack.
Having said that, I just need to step on the soapbox and get that out my system.
Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly asked him about the Russian leader because he said that he's a killer. And Donald Trump says, what you think, our country's so innocent? That was his response. Now, some would say, I ain't got a problem with that because our country do got a bunch of killers in it. But then some would say that it was very politically incorrect, inflammatory, and can expose you to some stuff that you want to be exposed to. Coach, you got the first word. Let's everybody get a word on it brief so we can go to our break.
Like I said, it's just crazy to air something out like that. Like you said, you worrying about, we talking about one thing and then you're adding on to it. It's just like if I ask you, oh, it's sunny outside. Well, it's gonna rain tomorrow. It's of that nature. And I mean, I don't know. He's just jumping out the window with it.
B, what you think, man?
I think that that makes absolutely no sense. Number one, just 2 years ago, we were in a standoff with Russia about, supplying weapons to, our enemies. And, anything associated with the Russians was supposed to be viewed as an act of terrorism. And now all of a sudden, our new commander-in-chief is having a bromance with the president of Soviet Union. It makes no sense to me, and it's like nobody is calling this dude out on that. And it bothers me because Obama might not have been like the dude with the iron fist that just shut down everything, but he wasn't partnering up with none of our enemies or anything like that. So that's what got me a little confused there and concerned.
Big Mike?
I mean, I think it's it's truth to what he said. You know, it's probably one of the few things I can actually grind with him. America killed a lot of people, but he's not presidential. He doesn't answer questions in a way that I would expect my president. He's almost too blunt. He doesn't think through his responses, and I think under the circumstances, you know, he's all about our borders, our protection, and everything, keeping us safe from the great, you know, Muslim terrorists out there and all this other stuff. But he's supporting somebody who's known to be a terrorist and a killer. It just doesn't make sense.
Big bro?
I mean, I gotta agree with Big Mike on this one. For what he said, we are a bunch of killers. We are. I mean, that's legitimately, he didn't tell no lie on that one. What I disagree with is the way it was presented.
Yeah.
The presentation sucked. The facts was there.
Yeah.
The presentation
He
sucked.
presented it on the garbage can lid to
he
use
did.
the Cosby Show reference. Shout out to my sister Jackie Hosky of The Bridge. We had The Bridge on the show last week. New social media, group economics website that you guys need to be a part of. Our sister Jackie is listening to us tonight. Shout out to you. Thank you, my sister. When I heard the quote, I was like, word, that's true. It was one of the few times he said something that I was like, I rocked with him. I did. I rocked with him. And I didn't even have the visceral negative reaction to it. I immediately was like, word, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Until I got the full context and I had a moment to sit back and think about it. And I was like, yeah, he probably shouldn't have said that. But it was later on that I came to yeah, he probably shouldn't have said that. You know, I think that a country that has put a ban out of Muslim countries, people in predominantly Muslim countries saying you can't come here, when we know that we spend a lot of time bombing those countries, which is the reason why those people want to come here, because they think or feel that they can be safe here. And the fear is to not let one of those people into this country when they already have a year and a half vetting process anyway in place. To me, is hypocritical and asinine, especially when Saudi Arabia ain't on that list.
There you go.
You know, that's the part that's the part that trips me out. And yes, America, we are some killers. Yeah. We are some killers. We kill each other and we kill other people. Yeah. And that's just what we do. Ain't no half stepping. We're Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we are going to talk to our brother B, who's in studio with us tonight. We're going to talk to him about a venture that he's working on. We're going to talk to him about some of the things that he's done and that he's going to be doing. That's a tease. That's what we call in the business a tease. That just basically means we want y'all to keep listening, so we ain't going to tell you now what it's about. You're listening to the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. Shout out to my brother Tavon. He got something to say every single Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Legacy Internet Radio. He says domestic terrorists are here and have always gotten the pass. That's real talk right there. Big Rube is checking us out. Of course, Big Rube, you can listen to his show on Sunday afternoons from 3:30 until 5:30 right here on Legacy Internet Radio. Big Rube is saying peace to the crew. Irreconcilable differences with Big Rube right here on Legacy Internet Radio. Anyway, we're going to take that break, come back in a few.
Holistic care for the mind, body, and spirit. Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC is a parent company for Organic Creations, Jewelry by Design, Miller Publishing, and Consultation Services. Organic Creations offers you the best in natural, homemade skin and hair care products. Jewelry by Design allows you, the customer, to design your own jewelry as it is custom made just for you. Thinking of self-publishing a book or novel? Check out Miller Publishing and Consultation Services. Free Spirit Enterprises is where holistic care meets mind, body, and spirit. Visit us at freespiritenterprisesco.biz. That's FRESPIRIenterprisesco.biz. Or you can call 804-252-6562. Like us on Facebook under Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC.